on the schedule.
Hello and welcome in.
Please do not leave your luggage unattended on the station.
Welcome to the show.
Welcome into Tuesday's Off Ice Show. I'm Meghan Angley, and I'm joined by Jesse Montano and Chloe Thiel, back again from behind the glass to talk a little Avs hockey. A little bit later, we'll go around the league with some fast facts, Hall of Fame inductions, but pretty exciting game last night, 3-2 overtime winner. Want to touch on a couple things. We addressed a little bit in the post game, but for people who maybe don't watch that piece specifically, still wanted to talk a little bit about the game and what the Avs have been doing well in their hockey lately. So the first thing off the top was the Rantanen penalty. I know we talked about it in the post game a little bit, but I wanted to pull up Rule 20.6 from the NHL. This was a rule that was modified in the 2023 season. It previously only allowed the officials to confirm the original major penalty call or downgrade it to a minor. They now have a third option to wipe it out completely. So the updated rule reads as follows. The referee shall have the following options after a video review of his own call: confirming his original major penalty call, reducing his original major penalty call to a lesser penalty, or rescinding the original major penalty altogether. The old rule also required the officials to downgrade the penalty to a lesser penalty of the same infraction. That is no longer the case. A major penalty, a boarding penalty, could after review be downgraded to a minor for cross-checking. The issue here in all of this is it operates on the fact that there was an original call on the play. And that's the issue. I know Mosier said that it was believed that there was a call on the play, but in looking at the NHL's official record of the play-by-play live, that's not how it was reported, not how it was recorded. It was recorded as a stoppage of play initially because of a player injury, but there was not a call. And so that is where there's still the confusion and frustration about how this incident was handled. And I haven't really gotten any more clarity on where this call was originally made on the ice.
So the rule that you just read, one, I think it's a good rule. I think it's good that they can review major penalties. We all remember the Vegas Golden Knights literally won a playoff series on the back of a blown major penalty call. So this is a good thing. The problem is everything you read is irrelevant because of the thing that you followed up that rule with. There has to be a call on the ice. There has to be a call on the ice. I don't know which rule it is, but Corey Massack from the Denver Post shared it last night. Refs, and we've seen it multiple times this year. We just saw it a couple weeks ago with Chris Wagner. Officials are allowed to reconvene after the play and say, wait a minute, there was an injury here. Linesman maybe saw something. We're gonna give a 5-minute major and review it. What they're not allowed to do is convene well after the play is over when there was no penalty called. Get together and say, well, we're going to assess a 5-minute major and then review it. It's not a 5-minute major. We'll just give him a 2-minute penalty. You are not allowed to go backwards in time to call a 2-minute minor. The Avs survived the call, so it's whatever. But in my opinion, this is the second time in a week we have seen officials inside a Ball Arena get the call wrong, and not like, oh, that shouldn't have been a penalty. Like, no, you did something that you don't understand the rules based on the call that you're making. The league's war room had to get involved 3 games ago to keep the refs from making the incorrect call in a game. Like, are we getting to the point where these reviews need to be taken out of the on-ice officials' hands? Because we've seen 2 instances now within 1 week in the same building where the officials have gotten the call like wrong by the letter of the law, not I disagree with the call. Like, you're not allowed to do that.
Yeah, I think it prompts a little more reaction from the league to get ahead of this before it spirals out of control throughout the season. Honestly, I'm not sweating it with respect to the Avs and the outcome. Obviously, they were energized by the following penalty kill, but it sets a bad precedent. It's a slippery slope. And I think that it's going to be a bigger mess to clean up if this continues to happen more inconsistently throughout the course of the year.
Yeah, I know a lot of fans were upset about it too, because I wasn't even able to watch it happen.
I was going to ask if you were watching live.
Yeah, I wasn't able to watch that part. I kind of saw the video. So I didn't see any of the aftermath, but the only reason I knew about it was because people were so upset about it.
Yeah.
So I think that this definitely calls into an issue to the league if fans are that upset about something like this, and this just keeps happening and happening.
Well, and you set the precedent for, like, okay, tomorrow night, if you miss a high stick, can you just blow the play dead 3 minutes later and go review it and give a 2-minute penalty? Because that's what you did last night. It wasn't 2 minutes, but like that's what you did last night. And I would feel this exact same way if the roles were exactly reversed. And it was the Nashville player who got a penalty. You're not allowed to do that. That's the problem. You're not allowed to make that call the way that they made it. The refs make mistakes. Could I live with that being a penalty? I guess. I didn't think it was a penalty to begin with, but had the ref, based on optics, put his arm up, called Mikko for a 2-minute penalty, I've been like, yeah, the guy got hurt. He was in a vulnerable position, whatever. You can't do it the way they did it. Have you watched the replay today?
No.
No ref, no arm goes up. Nobody. I watched the ref. It happened in the corner right by the press box.
Mm-hmm.
So the ref was right in front of you and I, Megan. That hit happened, and I saw the player from Nashville go down, stay down. So I intentionally stayed focused on that ref. Is he going to put his arm up? Ooh, he's injured. When is he going to blow this dead? Because the Avs are going the other way. So my only question this morning was, did I not see that the other ref had his arm up? And that's what they went on. Watch it today. No ref,
Nothing.
No linesman, nothing. And to your point, Chloe, about the fans, like, we're media. We can sit here and have this discussion. Coaches can be upset. Players can be upset. The fans are the ones that pay the money. And when they're saying, hey, you messed up, like, the league should have put out a statement today saying, last night against Colorado and Nashville, a play was made. This is not the way that these reviews are supposed to work. Blah, 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 blah. They do that kind of stuff all the time.
Mm-hmm.
They should have put something out.
Yeah. And I didn't see what Bednar's reaction to it was.
Extremely diplomatic.
Okay. Well,
yeah.
And I think, what's tough is had the Lehkonen offsides coaching challenge thing not happened so recently, maybe to have more to say, but he's probably trying to pick his battles at this point because weird stuff keeps happening in Ball Arena.
And like, that's the part that just spins me out about it. Yeah, pick your battles about making sure the game is called correctly. And you're right. Like, he has to. Like, you can't go up there and bury the refs. But if it wasn't for the league getting involved and blowing the horn, blowing the play dead last week, this would be twice within a week that the on-ice officials have actually got something wrong by the letter of the law. That's my issue with it.
And this one isn't totally to bury the officials, but the puck in the netting, no whistle, and the confusion.
Yeah,
make it 3.
And
make it 3 times.
That's why I'm just like, it's just been a weird year in Ball Arena so far on the official side of things. And again, Avs should play through that no matter what. I'm not completely giving a pass on that one, but it's just been weird.
That one is the most you can point at other things that the Avs did, but the last two, like, how there's 4 NHL officials who have climbed the ranks here, and none of you know that if the defending team is the one that brings the puck back into the zone, it's not offside. None of you know that. That's crazy to me.
Yeah.
I don't know if we can call attention to Drew Livingstone's comment
Yeah.
about the elbow on Moose right after. Didn't review that one, A-Stripes. Thanks for the super chat.
Yeah, big shout out on the super chat.
And that adds insult to injury, right? He gets blatantly interfered with. I think it was Cole Smith coming out of the box following this. Or these are two different things, and I didn't see the elbow.
Like, these are ones that are made worse because of everything we're talking about. Like, you can live with a missed call, but living with a missed call right after an incorrect call late in a game, in a tie game, to give a team a power play, for you to then immediately follow it up with missing what I was told. Were you listening to the Avs broadcast or the Nashville broadcast?
The Avs.
Apparently on the Nashville broadcast, they said both that the Preds got lucky with the power play there on the Mikko Rantanen thing, and wow, that's a pretty bad missed interference right there.
At that point, they're just floundering. I feel like
Right.
like they missed that, and then after that, it's kind of they don't really know what to do at that point. So then more things get missed and more things
They're
get
probably
missed.
panicking that it'll
Right.
seem like they're giving Mikko a penalty back. Like, well, we clearly messed up here. And
Right.
you're like,
Yeah.
well, we don't want to take ownership that we messed up. And we
Right.
don't want it to appear like we're saying we messed up by
Mhm.
giving Rantanen this call that he rightfully deserves now.
So I'm going to take this just a tiny bit off the rails, but it's all connected to this. Tim Peel, right? Not an overly popular guy on Twitter, but former NHL official. He and I have chatted
Friend of the show.
several times.
End of the show.
After our initial scuffle online, he and I have
What was
gotten
your
along.
scuffle?
He targeted Jesse.
How
He
have
went
I not
after
heard about
Jesse.
this?
Yeah, all right. So second side road off of the
Oh,
current
shoot.
side road. Well,
We
he's
need context.
Tim Peel's from St. Louis,
Mhm.
Missouri. He's an longtime NHL official. The original story has to do with why he's no longer an NHL official, but it was during the 2022 Cup run. The Avs were playing the Blues. Megan and I were working together. I was in St. Louis covering that series. And at the time, my Twitter photo was a memoji of me.
A
Cute.
meme emoji.
Yeah.
Cute.
Yeah. And I tweeted something even like pretty benign about like, it was during all the Nazem Kadri, Jordan Binnington stuff.
Mhm.
That was what it was. And I put out something. I don't hide this. I'm not a fan of Jordan Binnington. I don't think he's a very good goaltender at the NHL level to begin with. I think he's coasted his entire career off that one playoff run he had as a rookie.
Ego is just so high.
Oh yeah, it's out of control. I think he's a lunatic on the ice, as he proved in that series. A lunatic off the ice. I'm just not a Jordan Binnington fan. So I tweeted something about like, Jordan Binnington needs to grow up or something like that. Right? Yeah. And Tim Peel got after me in my mentions a little bit and was saying that. And again, he and I have since smoothed this over. It's all good now.
Oh, good.
But he was like, "Oh, you're a coward hiding behind your keyboard. You don't even have a real photo, and you're out here just talking blah blah blah."
Oh wow.
And ended up kind of blowing up a little bit on hockey Twitter because Tim Peel was like, "Oh, why don't you let me see your face then?" And people kind of ran with that.
Did you just DM him a picture of you?
No, someone DM'd me a picture of my memoji on Tim Peel's body, like as a ref. And I almost made that my photo. Evan Rowell put Tim Peel's head on the Wolverine photo, and then my profile photo in the picture frame. Greg Wyshynski DM'd me, and I was like, "Sorry, you're dealing with this, man." But so it was just kind of funny.
Oh, that's good.
Tim Peel was an official in the NHL. He got caught on a hot mic going up to a player and saying, "Hey," it was something along the lines of like, or maybe it was even to another official, like, that one was probably pretty soft. We owe him one.
Yeah,
and he got fired for saying we owe the other team one. And I have been on record several times saying that happens in every game at every level of hockey, from 6 and unders, in-house rec, up to the NHL. They're makeup calls. Hey, we probably shouldn't have called that. We'll get them one back. They got a soft one. The other team will get a soft one. That's just how it works. I actually had a ref come up to me once. I was sitting in the box and he came and opened the door and he said, "I put my arm halfway up and I realized that I shouldn't have called it, but I couldn't put my arm back down. I'll get you one."
Oh, darn.
It happens all the time.
Yeah.
So in that instance last night, the officials, in my opinion, should have been looking for a soft penalty to go the other way. And they got a blatant one in the form of an elbow and an interference on Mikko Rantanen. To me, that was like the easy, all right, you make that call and it's a wash. Everyone can move on. When they don't make that call, the crowd gets on them. The refs "you suck" chant start going. The broadcast starts getting upset. The bench can start getting upset. Mikko Rantanen was hot. He starts going after the refs. he starts taking not runs at guys, but he's skating a little bit harder, finishing his checks a little bit harder. And that's what happens when you don't get control of the game and you make bad calls and you just let it go. So I thought they should have made what technically would have been a makeup call, but it was a pretty easy call.
It was very deserved. And I think Chloe saying they were floundering is exactly the word I'd use. I think they got too in their heads over the optics of all of it and ended up just not calling the game. But you know what? It was a great third period from the Avs. So no complaints on my end. Not the purpose of this segment.
A few complaints.
and you made the great point, and Mikko Rantanen even told us this last night. Like, it's clear they fed on that penalty kill. Like that gave them a boost.
Yeah.
Exactly. That's a great segue into our next topic, which is the defensemen on a whole. Now, Toews, Manson, Malinski, Girard, all with goals on the season. Makar with 6, obviously. Every defenseman with at least a point, except for Shillington, who, has been scratched from games, has played as a forward. I don't think that should really bog down the overall excitement around what the defensemen have been doing lately. And in looking at some advanced stats on Natural Stat Trick, my favorite, the expected goals against for defensemen around the league who've played at least 200 minutes, which is between 13 to 16 games, depending on usage, and pretty decent usage. Malinski is the 13th best and fewest allowed of the whole league. And of Avs defensemen, Toews has been on the ice for the fewest scoring chances against and 9th best in the league, keeping in mind he's missed a couple of games. Malinski's right there behind him at 36th place with more games played. So I just wanted to draw attention to one, the defensive play of Sam Malinski and maybe how understated and good it has been, and a stabilizing force in the back end that I think has helped them to steady the ship on things going on in their own end to be able to then contribute offensively the way that they have. And also shouting out Toews a little bit too, who we learned has not been 100% throughout the course of this year, even in missing some games, just haven't gotten the best version of him. Still a really good player. I think Jared Bednar used the words like even Toews at 80% is a really good hockey player.
Is better than most.
Is still a lot better than most, a league leading strong defensive player, even when he's not at his best.
He plays with your boy.
I know.
I thought you were gonna jump on this right. I need to talk about this.
I do have something to jump on though. I think one of the things that Bednar said it last night was somebody said it was a big night for Sam, I think. And he said, which Sam?
Yes.
And that to me, I think that just draws my attention to how well Malinski is playing right now. Because even though Girard did have a big night, he was focused on Malinski.
I think that's a great shout out because I caught that same thing. I was like, oh, you thought he was talking about Malinski.
Right.
What do you think about both?
Yeah. Look, I mean, the despite the fact that some of these guys haven't Toews maybe looked the exact way you want them, like everything, none of I just said everything, all, none of the things that you just read are surprising. Yeah. None of that's surprising. Like this team has been, it drives through its defense, right? The offense starts with the defense. The structure starts on defense. The breakouts start on defense. Obviously, the zone entries on the power play starts with the puck on a defenseman's stick. Like when they added Cale Makar and Connor Timmins at the time in the same draft, they made a clear statement like this team's identity is offense. Or geez,
We get what you mean.
I'm losing my job to Chloe, and I can feel it, and now I'm just nervous in the seat.
No need to be nervous.
Our identity is defense. And yes, it helps that Cale Makar became a superhero in the 2 years he was at UMass. But they made it clear that was their identity by adding Devon Toews. The 2 years later, they doubled down on that, and they've driven through their defense ever since. For as rough of a start as it has been, if this version of the D-core isn't healthy, the Avs are nowhere near where they're sitting right now. I don't know if the defense has gotten enough credit, whether it be from us here locally or nationally, at what they've done to keep this team afloat. and it's maybe been the one little underrated part of this team so far, is the D-corps has been healthy. And for my money, with John Ludwig with Ludwig or DeHaan, really, on that third pairing, I think this is the best D-corps they've had. Maybe I'm probably going to put it above the 2022 D-corps.
I like it a lot. I've really liked Kevin DeHaan as a third pair option, and I haven't seen a lot of Ludwig, but I've also liked him, especially for a waiver pickup. I think that he's settled in really well, and I give him credit for not getting in games as consistently and having that rhythm and still looking good and effective when he does jump in. And I think this isn't to take a shot at Calvin DeHaan, but the fact that his D partner in Malinski's numbers are so far ahead of his, it's a testament to what individually Malinski's doing, because I watch him on the ice commanding on the back check where Calvin DeHaan should be. He's pointing to him. He's instructing him. He understands the Av system so well, despite being a little bit newer to them himself. He's a teacher to his own D pair partner. And I think that's worth noting, but also worth shouting out that I really like Calvin DeHaan as a D partner, and together they've suppressed a lot of chances. And so they've been very reliable defensively. And on the flip side of it too, you can't have this conversation just about who's been reliable defensively, but also who's creating opportunities. And Cale Makar is present for the most at 5v5 in terms of scoring chances created. 22nd place in the league, 145 scoring chances that he is on the ice for. Girard comes in second most on the team with 132. And so it also it's kind of the harmonious balance of what each of these players' strengths are, what they bring to this team. I've seen criticisms around Girard's play at different points this year. And I think that as a fan base and people watching this team, that can be easy to latch onto sometimes. But I think the balance of how this D-corps is constructed right now is working exactly as intended.
Balance, I think, is a great word. I was going to say, I say that I think this is the best D-corps they've had, with all due respect to the law firm of Johnson & Johnson. What?
Kevin DeHaan is so much better than Jack Johnson.
Oh, well, no. I'm just saying, like,
FFB.
I was mostly referring to EJ, with all due respect to those two. I think balance is the right word, Megan. I think DeHaan, Ludwig, Malinski, with where both Jack and Eric Johnson were at in their careers. Again, both players that have Olympic caliber players at one point in their career. As Jared Bednar was quick to remind us last year, Jack Johnson, when he first came into the league, was really more of like an offensive, play driver, things like that. Like, both very good players at points in their career. In 2022, they were clear-cut third pairing guys out there to block shots, kill penalties, things like that. I don't feel like the Avs have a defensive pairing where it's like, well, just go survive. All three pairings right now just feel like they can be a threat offensively. They can lock things down defensively. And like, I keep mistaking Sam Malinski for Cale Makar at least once a game.
I get that too, because they do skate similarly.
And like the Sam Malinski last night puts that. I've played hockey. I started skating when I was 4 years old. I'm in my 30s now, and I've played hockey my entire life. My brain can't comprehend the physics of when Cale Makar's feet are moving, but he's not, and he's just like, which way am I going to go? And Sam Malinski did that same thing last night, where he takes like 2 strides, but he doesn't move.
Yeah.
And it just really causes problems for defenders. I think he is such a sneaky, underrated part of the bottom half of this D-corps.
I remember your live reaction to that in the offensive zone, and he had a great shift just before it too, to help get the puck out of their own end. There's a little deception in how he can kind of shimmy guys and fake them into what they think he's going to do, and just sort of power through then along the wall, because they thought that he was going to move differently. And it leads to cleaner breakouts, which I think allows him to then do what we see in the offensive zone that has shades of Cale Makar. And that's where I think both ends what he's doing so well are sort of feeding into each other at this point.
Him and Cale do the same thing where they technically make a move, but they just make other guys move out of their way and then they skate just perfectly straight forward. I'm going this way. Bye. And they just keep going where they exactly were. And it's the craziest thing to watch. And it's super fun to watch.
I do want to give a shout out to Dahan for that play in the third period where he gets a stick on that. Because Georgie, I thought, was amazing, and I'm sure we're going to get into that, but
yes,
Dahan being there and being able to stop that from going in, I think, is a huge play.
Well, and having the wherewithal, because he's like tied up in a battle, having the wherewithal to abandon what you're doing and sell out to pull a puck off the goal line.
Yeah.
No, that's a great call out that I don't think should go unnoticed, because that probably ends up in the back of the net if Calvin Dahan doesn't make that play.
I was kind of surprised that it was Dahan.
Me too.
No hate against Dahan. I just wasn't expecting that. There were so many guys that were in front of the net, and I didn't assume it would be him. So
really good wherewithal. Speaks of the team effort too. Like, this was a close game. You know, the Avs didn't run away with it, and there were parts of it that I didn't love. You know, I didn't love their first period, and I think that they had to sort of patiently build their way back into this game, and moments like that kept them in it for a nice overtime thriller. So really happy with it. I know, just checking into, we were talking about Malinski's usage earlier in the year, and we were kind of surprised to see he was around 14 minutes a night. He's closer to 16 now. And so that has helped the overall, just in terms of a Makar, then a Girard and a Manson and a Toews, having just a couple minutes shaved off their bottom line to give Malinski a little bit more trust. I think that also goes back to that balance conversation that we were having.
Personal bestie of Chloe over here.
No,
Sam
exactly.
Malinski,
like I was like, Chloe, you got to
bestie.
be at the first part of this segment because you don't know that I'm teeing you up for the Sam Malinski Nation conversation.
Oh, right. I can't remember what I titled it, but it's time, Malinski Nation.
Yeah,
I mean, that was the quote.
Yeah, we're here.
But I agree. I've liked him like since last year. I remember his first game. I just remember watching him skate, and I was excited about it. I just think he's such a good skater. He's such a good player. And when he got sent back down to the AHL, I was distraught.
Oh,
I was distraught. But he's back now. So
you know what I think? Because he's a great skater. He's an outstanding skater. He maybe doesn't get enough credit for that.
I'm giving him the credit.
There you go. That's why you're here. Unbelievably smart player.
Yeah.
I think that's the biggest strength.
That's what it is. That's why he didn't. That's why he looked good when he came in last year. He didn't look overwhelmed. He didn't look like it was too much. It was moving too fast. He's a smart player. You can tell he thinks the game really well.
Yeah. I think that's why he's been so good defensively. And the offensive side of his game, it's always been there. But I think what's rewarded him with the opportunity to put him on this path to the NHL has been how smart he is.
Right.
Not to interrupt you, we got a new member up here. Another new member. I think it's 3 shows in a row. We've picked up a new member.
Welcome.
Love it.
Underestimated. I always knew it was hard for you guys to see the comments on this screen, but I can't read those.
I know. Will you throw that member up there for us, Andy? There it is. Aiden G. Welcome to the Gorilla Fam. I actually just met with Blake yesterday about all kinds of new stuff that'll be coming for our members very, very, very shortly here on YouTube. So welcome. Thank you guys. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt the flow, but I just wanted to
No, it's good
shout
flow.
out Aiden.
I like the defenseman conversation. A couple comments. Are we sold on Calvin Dahan for the year? He seems like a good fit. I'm personally really happy with Calvin Dahan. I think he has been one of the best third pair options we've seen in a long while. You know, keeping in mind what the expectation is for that role, I really like, to your point, you know, like the Jack Johnson, Eric Johnsons of the world, not bad fits either. It just feels a lot better with what Calvin Dahan has brought. Stay-at-home defenseman type, but I think he's got a little more mobility than the other two. And I think that his puck skill is a little bit limited, but he makes pretty smart decisions, even though they might be simple ones.
He's Jack Johnson, but he can move.
Oh.
You know?
That's all. Yeah, I agree.
Like, I think between him and Ludwig, you feel really good about 6'7".
You definitely do. Someone actually just asked about Shillington. He's the odd man out. They need to do something about that for cap purposes. Vaguely Sober, our friend of the show.
Were you in the press room today when we were talking about this? Or
Yeah,
had you
he's out
gotten there yet?
there kind of taking drills as a forward. It's just there's obviously no forward spot for him right now. Prishapov, Ivan, they're just playing too well to have those guys be the extras in consideration, and they're too loaded up on their D depth right now as well. I think it is time that they make a decision, and I thought, in seeing them make the decision around Kakkonen as quickly as they did kind of out of necessity, I've assumed a Shillington decision has to be coming soon.
Yeah, I think it's surprising that he gave Shillington more chances than Kakkonen. Like, that is one of those things where people can kind of blatantly see what's happening with Shillington. I truly thought that he was a lot better as a forward than a defenseman. And I'm sure a lot of people thought that too, but
Which isn't good.
oh yeah, that's not good. But yeah, I do think that it's surprising that he is getting the chances that he's getting.
So not only Kakkonen, Brandstrom.
Yeah.
They also were just like, we're done with this. I genuinely feel for Oliver Shillington. His camp got off to a chaotic start, and it feels like he's been treading water ever since then. You need the money. You need every dollar that you can get.
Right.
When you're starting to get healthy, which might be like 2 days from now. You need the money. You need that $1 million. You have no intentions of playing him right now. There's players in front of him. If there's an injury on defense, he's still not drawing in. I think they just need to cut bait. You waive him, you trade him for a 7th round pick, you do whatever, and do it for the player. I'm sure he would play. He'd be an every night player in San Jose right now. Get some kind of a pick back for him and get that $1 million off your books.
What I'm saying. Brandstrom's playing hockey. It might be, he's getting kind of pulled between
Up and
AHL and NHL, but he's playing hockey. Shillington is just sitting on a shelf right now. That's not good for a player who missed so much time. He needs to be getting in games. If you care about Oliver Shillington as a person, you need him to be playing games. So if you can't offer that here at this organization, release him.
Well, I just think they just need to waive him. And if nobody claims him, then cool.
Games with the Eagles.
Right. You can set him down. You can call him up. You can set him down. You can call him up for 30 days. I'm less concerned about that part of it personally, but also like you do sit there and it's like, let him go play. Just let him, again, like he's not going to play for you. He's not good enough to play for this team. Like he's not.
I don't want to trigger anyone's PTSD, but Jacob McDonald is on a 2-way contract. If they had some serious hits to their depth occur in this year, that is an option that is there, that is tried and true, can step up, and he's playing extremely well for the Eagles right now. So I'm not worried about the deep depths of the D-core depth chart. Because
here's the other thing too. All right, let's say you need to put Oliver Shillington in. He's not playing well.
Who do you want to see more, Shillington or McDonald? Knowing that some unfortunate circumstance has brought you to this point.
Yeah, right. I just, like I said, this is nothing personal against Oliver Shillington. He hasn't shown that he can skate with this team. I wonder if the year off of hockey has taken its toll. He doesn't look like an NHL player to me. The fact that I think we can all agree he probably looked better at forward than he did on defense.
Yeah.
We all saw what happened with Curtis McDermott. The one game that he did that, he looked better on forward. There, it's like, you're not a defenseman anymore.
Yeah.
You'll play 4 minutes every 8 games for the Avs. You'll play the first 2 periods, 2 shifts each. Like, Oliver Shillington doesn't want that. He turned down a multi-year deal in Calgary. Like, be done with this. Just be done with this.
Yeah.
Somebody said at least Capo didn't get tried as a forward too.
I feel, do you have goalies on your rundown here?
Not technically. I was going to go into Bednar practice updates. And before the show, we had talked about Georgiev, strong play, but we didn't really address, all right, Kakkonen on waivers. Now he's been claimed by Winnipeg.
Right.
Georgiev's kind of now solidly the starter, question mark?
I don't know if I'd use the word solidly, but it feels like he's back in the driver's seat. People cannot like that for Eustace, but this goes back to what we talked about yesterday. The Avs have stayed in Georgie's corner pretty consistently, It was only recently that they were like, we're going to keep it kind of fluid, which I think they are still doing. But for Kähkönen, I felt bad. I really do think that the immigration stuff stole a start from him. I think they would have liked to have played him a couple times. They just ran out of racetrack. And Jared made the point today, like, well, they got the other goalies in gear.
Do you think that I don't want to put down Kähkönen for this, but do you think that was kind of the reason to bring him on and kind of give them a kick and tell them you need to pick this up because we need to pick a starter?
I do. I think the fact that it was Capo Kähkönen was also a little bit of a stroke of luck because that was a guy who has been billed as a potential starter in the NHL before. So there was I think if James Reimer, who hit the waiver wire today, would have hit the waiver wire at that same point, they maybe would have done that. Like, I think it was about two things. One, can we get a guy to come in here and play better? Can we get someone to come in and make some saves? And two, I do think that a large portion of it was a message of, if you two think you're the only option, you're crazy.
Yeah.
If you think that this level of play is acceptable and there's nothing we can do about it, we'll go pick someone up off waivers and play him instead of you.
And it worked.
It worked.
I think they're a chestnut checkers, not just a plan A team. And so I think the plan A was, we still want Georgiev, the guy we pay to be the starter. Let's kick his butt into gear. But the plan B is, we're intrigued by Kähkönen as a starter if it comes to that. Similar to Brandstrom, Shillington in the offseason, people discounted Malinski in that conversation, but who knows what the plan A was, right? Like, was the plan A ever even Brandstrom and Shillington as NHL regulars, or was it to push Malinski to see what kind of player they had in him? Either way, I think they get the result that they wanted with full expectation to live with that plan B if it had come to it.
The only thing that sucks is that, like, for me, you're not out of the woods with Georgiev. The reason I stopped shy of saying solidly is because I've read this book before. And with Justus, you're still just really not sure. It would have been great for Capo to be able to clear waivers and them to have that option within the organization. But it's the way it goes. I guess you can't really claim James Reimer, but I'll just say, if you really want a third goalie, you can just do that. But that you wouldn't really be able to do that. You got to keep him around for 30 days.
Yeah, I actually just kind of disagree with you. I do think, I told Megan, I think last night kind of makes it solid as him being a starter.
Georgie?
Yeah, and I think it's so obvious. You can see the way that everyone plays in front of him. And when he finally has his confidence, then everybody plays better.
Mm-hmm.
And I think we're finally getting to this point where he just needed a little bit of consistency and a few more consistent starts. And then now we're kind of getting to
off and running.
Yeah.
He's got to do it for longer stretches. Like the issue last year was that he was picking up wins, but the games were ugly at times. So you were able to kind of look the other way because he was picking up wins. He's got to do it for longer. And I also think Justus Annunen does have a say in this.
Absolutely. Because I think Chloe's right. I think the conversation around the team playing one way or another in front of him, I think there's been a change. I think previously when Georgiev would let in a goal early in the game, they'd overcompensate and they'd deviate from their structure to accommodate not feeling great about Georgiev. Whereas they have stuck to the game plan more, even with an early goal allowed. And I think they've even taken ownership of how they didn't start that game very well last night. And so they laid the foundation, built themselves back into that game by making smart, simple, and the right decisions. And that, I think, communicates a trust in their goaltender. Like, all right, Georgiev's going to take care of what he needs to in net. We need to figure out what we're doing in front of him.
Well, and I also think, to Chloe's point, like, Georgie, I do think, has any and all tiebreakers. If everything is equal between him and Annunen, he's the starter. They've made that clear for years. So, like, I do think you're right that right now, today, saying, okay, we feel better about where he's at. He's really kind of matched Justus. Yeah, we're back with Georgie. I don't disagree with that, but I do think that he's got the shortest leash that he's had at any point in his career with the Avs.
I think the experiment of different ways of giving Georgiev forced breaks when things aren't going well, Evan Raul asked this question. Bring out better in Georgiev, usually.
Yeah.
And so he responds to the pressure by performing a little bit better. I think that they're going to lean on alleviating some of his workload while still wanting to get him relatively consistent starts, but sharing a little bit more of that with Justus Annunen. I think that was supposed to be the plan for the year, and then things just started so badly.
Yeah.
And they got off the rails. But I think that's where they're going to get back on it. So I think we're going to see more Justus Annunen than ever before. And that's where Justus Annunen definitely has a say in it. Because to your point, if Georgiev starts to falter a little bit again, they pull the Annunen trigger. And it probably brings out better in Georgiev in the end, but it gives Annunen this opportunity to sort of fight for the net at least.
Yeah. And it gives him a little break from not playing 82 games.
Exactly.
So,
yeah,
we'll
we never,
that's great.
it just, I know he tells you he wants every start. He's hungry for it.
Right.
I don't think that gets the best out of Georgiev, the 60 plus.
Yeah, that's one where you've got to, not that they don't, but like, that's where I know you do. We're not going to do that.
I think that's what the organization needs to do with Georgiev. Like, I know that this isn't what you want. You don't want us to claim Kakinen off of waivers and bring in a third goaltending option, but it's what you need.
Yeah.
I also think, as a fan, I still think of myself as a fan. I know it may be different for you guys just having covered them for so long, but when a puck comes anywhere close to Georgie, I still flinch.
Do you?
I do. And I wish I didn't. But I think that's something he has to earn the trust back with the fans also, not just with the team. And I think it's true for a lot of fans that they still don't really trust Georgie.
I actually I had a reply in my mentions last night that said every odd man rush against the Avs, I feel like it's going to go in.
Right.
And I think that's a real thing right now, where you're right. He has to build back up that confidence that I am going to make the big saves.
Yeah.
I am going to be able to stand tall, not every single time they need me, but on the majority of chances. Like there was one that Corey was tweeting about last night. I believe it was in the first period. Philip Forsberg walked like right down the slot.
Yes.
Big blocker save. He gets out on top of the blue paint, makes himself big save. Puck goes to the corner, and like that was kind of the end of that.
It goes wild.
Right. Yeah. And that was kind of the end of that chance. He's got to start doing more stuff like that, because it felt like there was way too many times earlier in the season that was going in every time, and you just started to expect it.
Yeah.
I look at like my game notes from the first period, and I feel a little sad that some of the things I'm making note of, saves that Georgiev is making, are routine saves goaltenders should be making. But I have a note like following the first goal against so early into the game, about 2 minutes later, he sees a puck through traffic and catches it clean. And I'm writing that down as a note, like that is good.
Right.
And that is what he should be doing. But to everyone's point, it's not always what he's done. Sometimes he gets so in his head after allowing an early goal that he's not seeing pucks very well. And then shortly after that is the Forsberg slave from the stop. Wow. Slot. Wow. All right. We're going to...
Moving on.
Yeah, we're going to go to our practice updates. Chloe, are you tired of hearing about Avs injuries and wondering when guys are going to return?
I'm sick. I'm probably almost as sick of it as Bednar is at this point. Yeah, it's tiring. There's really nothing you can do at this point. I really hope that this injury-prone start to the season won't continue throughout the entire season, so this won't always be like this. You have to hope.
Well, and I also do feel like the other part of it too is if you're counting Gabe, which I almost kind of put him in just a separate bucket.
Oh yeah.
But if you're counting him, Drouin and Wood, they've all kind of been these injuries where it's just like, we're not really sure.
Yeah.
Jared Bednar told us, I think it was 2 weeks ago, that Drouin was like medically okay. He wasn't going to make anything worse. It was a pain tolerance thing. And so it has just kind of been this like, well, when does the pain go away? When do you build the strength back up? And that is just kind of undetermined. And I asked him today, I said, you ready for us to be done asking you about this? And he said, yes, I've been ready. because I do understand, like, you can only say, not sure.
Right.
I'll be back when they're back. Like, I don't think Jared Bednar is withholding any information from us on Jonathan Drouin and Miles Wood. Is there stuff that I think they know behind the scenes about Gabe Landeskog they're not sharing with us? Yeah, absolutely. But with the standard day-to-day injuries, I don't think Jared Bednar is being cryptic for the sake of it. He's like, no, I don't know anything. Go ask. I don't know. I don't know anything.
So to bring people into the fold with the non-update update, Duran and Wood back in regular contact jerseys. They shed the red. It's a wonderful sight to
Shed the
see.
red.
Yeah, wow.
you
Did you
so
come up with that
much.
before?
When I was stumbling over
needs to be
Forsberg in the slot, I was thinking of that.
Yeah,
Wow.
all right. Yeah.
I love that.
Time to redeem myself.
Yeah, that was a good one.
Oh my
So, so we don't know if they're an option though, because Jared Bednar hadn't talked to the trainers yet, which feels funny. It's like, well, you take a few minutes before you get up here. You can stop in. You can stop in and talk to
So
the trainers.
he
We'll
is
wait.
withholding information.
Yeah,
We'll
yeah,
wait. You don't have
Yeah.
to get to us so quickly. I know you're eager to see us. So no update. Can't say confidently then that they're even options for tomorrow, but really great to see them.
I did hear in the locker room that they're both options for tomorrow.
Because Brendan, in talking about availability, was like, if
Yes.
they're available tomorrow, you get to talk to them.
Yep.
Wow.
Still doesn't feel
That's
that
to be honest, I don't even
confidence.
I'm still kind of confused what's going on with Wood.
Heartbreak.
It's
Upper
gotta
body
be
injury.
heartbreak.
Ross Colton.
Yeah. I think it's a groin.
Okay. It just I don't know. It just seems like
But didn't
it was
say
such a
upper body?
right.
I'm not even joking about the
I
heartbreak
thought
thing.
they said like elbow at first, and then it completely changed from upper to lower body, and it was only supposed to be
Yeah,
7 to 10 days, and I don't know how long it's been since.
I think Miles Wood was hurt with a couple things.
Okay.
Because the groin thing, I heard from other people suspecting that was it. Then we heard upper body. So
Okay.
they were seeing something that pointed to groin.
Yeah, I think he was playing through the groin, and then something else happened,
Mhm.
and they were like, you know what? We're just
Take some time off.
bandage yourself up a little bit.
Yeah, because he didn't look good playing through it. So he needed to take that pause. And, maybe he needed to be told to take that pause.
Well, I call him Luis Mendoza for a reason. All gas and no brakes. And when you are a player like that and you're not 100%, you're pretty ineffective. So it was good.
I'm
He took some-
ADHD braining this right now,
Okay.
but we've had questions about Val and how he's being received in the room. And there
Mhm.
was a wholesome moment with his practice locker room stallmate, who was Parker Kelly. Parker Kelly was making extreme effort to make small talk with Val
yes, he
Nichushkin
was. He
today.
was.
Amazing.
It was very wholesome to see.
Yeah.
Parker Kelly was asking him tons of questions, just trying to get to know him.
Extreme effort because Val's English
Yeah.
is not good.
And I think Val wasn't really sure how much conversation Parker Kelly was trying to have. So I think he thought it was just kind of a quick pleasantry, but Parker Kelly came right back and started talking more. So
And
That's
someone
hilarious.
walked up to interview Parker Kelly, and Val had said something, and Parker was like, "Oh, hold on," and finished his conversation with
Yeah.
Val. I don't think it's water under the bridge. I think everyone's moved on.
and Parker Kelly being a new face, making concerted
Yes.
effort to get to know his teammate who has not been around the team for parts of this year. Just thought that was encouraging and people would like that.
Well, and you like it too from a guy like Parker Kelly, because like he wasn't here. Val didn't end his playoff run. You know what I mean? So like the new guys have no reason to hold on to anything. I mean, there's no reason for them to be abrasive, standoffish, whatever. I noticed that as well, and I thought it was good. I think Val's doing fine in the locker room.
I think so too.
We're getting asked a lot. I think he's doing fine. I think they're happy to have him back. And I do think that they're kind of at the point where it's like, well, this either goes well or it's over, and it's not our problem anymore. So
I don't see Val as the type of person that would like to have a chatty stallmate, but I think it's good that Parker Kelly is trying to like kind of force him out of that and maybe even make him feel more welcome, which is funny. Him from a new guy.
Because Val sits 2 stalls over from Georgie, who speaks Russian, 3 stalls over from Kovalenko, who's Russian. So like he definitely has his comfort. So to your point,
Right.
stepping outside of that is always good.
Yeah, I don't think he was expecting it. And hopefully the clean slate of this being someone who's just getting to know him newly and doesn't have that history makes him feel more comfortable.
Yeah.
All right, we can wind down the Avs conversation and jump into our around the league quick hits. But one of the quick hits is that the Avs are now back in a wild card spot in the Central Division, just 2 points behind Dallas. So it's so early, but really nice to be within striking distance.
It's so early, but it's very quickly not. We all know the statistic. If you are not in a playoff spot on American Thanksgiving, which is rapidly approaching, you have, I think it's like a 3% chance of making the playoffs. So again, there are exceptions to the rule, all of that. But the fact that the Avs, through everything, through injuries, the slow start, the goaltending, all of that, are sitting 2 points behind Dallas for third in the Central, a team that I think if you were to go around and ask most national writers right now, who's your pick out of the West, they go, Edmonton or Dallas. Edmonton or Dallas. The Avs are 2 points ahead of Edmonton, 2 points back of Dallas. Through everything, when the dust settles on Friday and you hope Jonathan Drouin, Miles Wood, and Val Nichushkin are back in your lineup to come out of this sitting where you're sitting, it's early, but you're going to blink and it's not going to be that early anymore. Big, big stuff for the Avs.
Even being 8-8, I think, is a big deal.
Huge.
Considering what's going on. So I know a lot of people are probably frustrated with that record, but I think that's great for where they're at right now.
I couldn't agree with you more, Chloe.
Yeah.
Like, I think I say it all the time. We are not here to make excuses. We are not here to, pump the team up, whatever. We're here to provide context to what you're seeing and provide our, access to make things as accessible to the folks who, who aren't in that locker room as possible. And to me, I think you're 100% right, Chloe. In the context of this season is injuries, bad goaltending for the first handful of games. Like the numbers say that. That's not me saying that.
The Anaheim days.
Right. Yeah, the before times. That's not me saying that. That's the numbers saying that. You came into the season knowing you were down Landeskog, Nichushkin, Lehkonen, and it was like, all right, just survive. You were not expecting to add Drouin, Colton, Wood to that list before you got any of those guys back. For you to be sitting here potentially on the eve of getting Drouin and Wood back, 3 days away from getting Nichushkin back, I think 8-8, they're smacking high fives in that room.
Yeah. To get the goalies back to looking like themselves again, who do you think should start tomorrow? They've got LA and then they've got Washington in the Val return game. How do you want to see these start shake out? Girard all the way? Give Annanen a game?
I'll let you go first.
I would start Juice tomorrow, and I would start Georgie on Friday.
That's my answer too.
I like it a lot too. Haven't seen Eustace in a minute, and I think hopefully there's a confidence now in Georgiev with Kakkonen on waivers that, all right, you're our guy. We're going to give Eustace a start.
Yeah. Give him a break.
Give him a break.
Yeah.
And then come back for the exciting game with Val's return against a Washington team that has been doing better this year than they were last year, particularly in creating scoring opportunities and capitalizing on them.
Stop Ovi from...
Stop
Whoa,
Ovi.
whoa. Let's not get carried away here.
Whoa,
I was going to say, you mentioned being a fan earlier, being in media, I don't root for teams. I root for storylines and things like that.
I feel like that's such a cliche thing to say.
Totally. And I also root for happy locker rooms. I do definitely root for a happy locker room to walk into.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping for a happy locker room on Friday with an Alex Ovechkin hat trick. That's what I'm looking for. Yep.
You're just going to destroy Georgie's confidence now?
Who said that destroys Georgie's confidence?
I don't know. To be fair, Georgie is always the one, if he has a bad game, his post game is always, I know I'm a good goalie.
Yeah.
So I don't know where
he's a big positive words of affirmation guy.
Right, he gets that confidence from that, but he definitely doesn't speak. No, I don't
know where you get
like
off having confidence.
I don't mean it like that. I just mean
he always says he's a good goalie. I don't know where he gets that confidence from.
I just mean Was that Andy
I think
laughing?
that was.
Yeah, I don't mean it like that. I just mean that no matter what happens, he always talks good about himself. And I don't know if that's what happens in his head also, but saying it out loud, sometimes it works.
You know, it's funny too. I've heard him critical of himself,
Yeah.
like after the Dallas series, and I'm thinking, I just don't think you were the problem in the
Yeah,
Dallas
yeah.
series. I think Devon Toews getting sick and losing Valnichushkin was a huge
Are you
problem.
guys both really anti-Ovechkin breaking this record?
I just
I'm not anti him
don't
breaking the
know
record. He doesn't need
what
a
I
hat trick
feel.
on
Yeah,
Friday
I
against the
I want to
Avs.
see him
I
do
don't
it
think-
this year.
I think it would be cool to see him do it this year, but I don't know.
And you know what's baloney? If it wasn't for 2
baloney.
lockouts and then 2 COVID shortened seasons, he's probably chasing 1,000 right now
Yeah.
and not the record.
But he
Like,
had a terrible year. Well, last year, beginning of the season was
Right.
not
this is
good.
my favorite part about Alex Ovechkin. Why he's the undisputed, it's not even close, greatest goal scorer in the history of the game. He had a terrible year
Right
last year,
now.
and he had 35 goals. Everyone was like, "Boo!
I know.
What
I
a
know.
down year for
That-
Ovechkin."
That was me. That was me. It was like,
Ovi's
what the
number one
hell?
hater.
Yeah.
Chloe.
I don't know why. I have no hate against him. I just think that it would be for Georgie to play and for Ovi to not score a goal that game. Confidence boost.
I don't know. Georgie loves Russians. Like he thinks Sergei Bobrovsky's
So that
the
means
I don't
greatest.
think
wants them
Georgie
to
wants to be scored on.
Yeah.
Oh, no, but
I
to
don't
be a
think-
part of history. Hey, we won the game, and I gave up a couple goals against Ovi. We won though. It was all fine.
I don't think Jesse
Couple.
believes what he's
Couple.
saying right now.
I do believe
he's
it.
just doubling down. For
I do
drama.
believe
Good
it.
for you for doubling down, but you're wrong.
What do you? Again,
Just
he
kidding.
he gave up goals last night. He gave up 4 goals in his previous win, and we're talking about how well he's played. He can give up 3.
No.
He can give up 3 to the greatest goal scorer
No.
ever.
Keep his save percentage where it's at. Where is it at? Also,
I don't think you want to do that.
Yeah, I don't know.
I
What it
don't think
is.
you want to keep his save percentage.
No, we
where
gotta
it's
get that.
at.
We gotta get that
Shut
up.
up.
Gotta get that up.
Gotta get that
Well,
right
then-
up here.
I'm gonna go with shutout on Friday.
Okay, well now we know it's not happening.
No, you can't. You can't say shutout when it's
I'm
happening
not
in the
talking about
game.
saying a shutout,
Oh, what are
but
you
a
saying?
couple. You just can't be like, oh well, this is definitely happening
Well,
unless
that's
it's
what you just said.
Colton. I said I want that to happen. I
Oh,
want that to happen.
Well, I want that to happen
Unless
too.
Colton Sissons is playing against the Avs, you cannot speak in absolutes.
Don't say that name on this podcast.
You cannot speak in absolutes about something happening
don't-
unless Colton Sissons is coming into Denver.
Also, I'd like to do another call out for Kivy and have you publicly apologize again.
What do you
There was
Go-
something last night that made me think of it.
go read my Twitter? I'm very pro
Oh, did
Kivy.
you?
All my search Kivy. Go to Twitter advanced search my page Kivy.
Can
I'm-
we do that with the podcast too, or
No, but we can do it for the next show. I'll go and pull him.
What was it?
okay?
What's the
that's
mantra?
great.
Kivy. And
It's
just go find all the
Kivy.
tweets on my page.
Oh,
that
I thought you
say the
started
word
like a
Kivy.
hashtag that was pro.
Oh
Kivy.
no.
Hashtag Kivy
Hashtag
for
I love
president.
Kivy.
All right, hashtag I love
Hashtag
Kivy.
as everyone knows, I've always loved Kivy.
Everyone knows.
I better start seeing that in every tweet from now on.
All right,
Uh,
this has gone so off the rails.
It
We're not
has.
going to do quick hits
you
around
know,
the league.
why? They're quick.
All right. What's going?
You're in for this whole pod now, by the
Pittsburgh.
way.
I know I was gonna get up and leave, but I
Pittsburgh.
What's
couldn't
wrong?
figure
What
it out.
happened?
I think they're wanting to trade Sidney Crosby to the Avs.
No,
the
they
Avs. No, I'm
specifically said everyone
had the
but
same thought.
87 is available.
Yeah.
I'm sorry to.
Did they
break-
really?
Yes,
Wow.
Dubas came out and said everyone aside from Crosby is available. Any near future moves would
Oh my
be to
God.
acquire players since they aren't rebuilding.
that's would be such a blow.
Well, I was
so
gonna
they
say-
one of
said
those
everyone.
players
It's a
and
free
said
for all
everyone is
except for
available?
Crosby.
If at that point, if everyone except for Crosby's available, I bet you Crosby's like, can you make me available?
Yeah, like whoa.
Everyone's for sale.
Yeah, we're stripping down, selling parts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're leaving me here?
Well, and like, it's one of those things where it's like, oh, it's to acquire players to stay competitive. It's like, no, you can't do that. You can't do both. You can't both trade Evgeny Malkin and try to stay competitive. Like both those things do not go hand in hand. All jokes aside, like they're not trading Sidney Crosby to the Avs this season.
People really people are really serious about it.
Biz started it last night on
Yeah.
Twitter. I mean, look, like I'm being dead serious when I say this. After I left BSN and before I came back into media, I was sitting at a game with a buddy. Sidney Crosby and the Pittsburgh Penguins were in town. And the Avs were just emerging out of the dark days. They had just made the playoffs, I think 2 years in a row. It was the Landeskog offside. That was the most recent playoffs. And I said, man, I'm not saying it's going to happen, but I pulled up Crosby's contract while he and I were sitting there watching the game. And I said, if the Penguins start to sputter a little bit and they really start to go downhill, I said, right as the Avs are getting really good, his contract would be up. I wonder if the Penguins would ever consider moving on from him and if he would want to be reunited with Nathan MacKinnon in Colorado. So I've always thought about this, but I never actually thought they would do it. I still don't, unless Sidney Crosby were to come to them and say, I think it's time. I think it's time to move on. I think it's time to let you guys turn the page. I want to go chase one more. At that point, I think they would do it. But I don't think Sidney Crosby's doing that. He just signed an extension. Now, if they finish with a lottery pick and they finish in the top 3 at the draft, I don't know, maybe this summer, him and Dubas sit down and have the conversation of, all right, where's the threshold? At what point am I just sitting here wasting these last couple of years? And at what point could you guys trade me and get something for me to help the rebuild? And like him almost doing it as I'm doing this to help the Penguins. I want to see the Penguins be good again. That's why I'm leaving for the last 2 years of my career. I do think, for what it's worth, if Sidney Crosby were to ever do that, I think he would. I don't think it's at all out of the realm of possibility that he would request, can you try to find something with Colorado to go play with Nate and be the 2 players ever that have come out of Cole Harbor on the same team playing for a Stanley Cup. Like, I do think that would be something that would be of interest to him, but I think we are a long way from him being interested in leaving Pittsburgh.
Didn't he say in some locker room post game that somebody asked him if he had ever thought about asking to be traded, and he straight up said no?
Yeah. No, he's pretty adamant on, like, I'm not going anywhere, but
But he did take a while to sign his extension over this offseason, and it comes in at the same AAV. It always is, so maybe the term was the hang up. I don't know, or I'm speculating. He considered it.
I don't think it'll happen this season. I don't doubt that he at least had to have a long conversation about, like, what does this look like? I also wouldn't be surprised if he had the conversation with Nate. Do you think it would fit?
In Vail. Just stay, buddy.
Well, yeah, I was going to say. So yeah, it's not happening this year, but I think if they finish at the bottom of the league, Kyle Dubas and Sidney Crosby probably at least approach the conversation of, are you sure you're in for this? Are you sure you want to be a part of this?
I'm laughing because I didn't intend to leave the show on Pittsburgh bag. All right, that's it for Around the League coverage. Pittsburgh bad.
His loyalty to the team, I think, is amazing. But
absolutely,
at some point, I'm trying to end it on a positive note, and now I'm.
Do you have any other quick hits that are more positive?
I mean, not exactly. Like I was gonna say.
All right. Well, now I want to hear a more negative quick hit.
No, they're not. Let's see how negative we can get.
It's gonna just depend on how you received it, right? Winnipeg winning 6. Everyone's talking about the Central, and they're like, Dallas. Winnipeg's right up there, playing really well in the regular season. But in having the Avs play them recently, I'm agreeing with you that I think they're more a regular season team, just based upon what a very depleted Avs team was able to do opposite them, even though they don't get that win. I was like, man, I was expecting to be a little more wowed.
Well, and didn't the Jets win 10 games in a row last year? Like, this just kind of feels like what they do. They're hot. They are hot out of the gates.
And that's why this feels a little negative still. See, I knew we were going to do this.
More negative.
I just said they were hot out of the gates.
No, I was going to get negative.
Oh, okay. Perfect.
But I just thought it was funny that you were saying, like,
Doom pod.
Doom pod. Yeah, that's the truth. But you're looking, like, people are saying, here's my picks, and it's Dallas or Edmonton. Nobody talks about Winnipeg because Winnipeg does not do well in the postseason. And I don't know when they're gonna get over that.
Chlo knows.
Chlo
knows. Chlo knows.
No, I didn't get it.
No, I made my feelings about Winnipeg clear last week, and I agree with you.
Yeah.
Should we get Andy in here to bring some positivity? She can talk about the Chiefs a little bit. I don't know.
Geez.
She
Wow.
told me if she had a hockey team she rooted for, it might be St. Louis. So
Yeah.
I know. I do.
be careful what you wish for.
Every time morning skate, you always tweet out that like McKinnon's not on the ice. I swear I heard Biz talk about this, and he said that Nate doesn't do morning skate anymore. He goes and swims laps. Is that not true?
No, I don't think that's true, because the last time, not yesterday, but the time before that, Nate didn't take morning skate. I saw him come out of the gym.
I think there is a pool involved somewhere sometimes.
I don't doubt that at all. But I don't think his like daily morning skate routine is a pool.
How do you know though?
No, he and Nate is notoriously tight-lipped about that stuff in ways that people sometimes think he's joking, and he's not.
He's proprietary.
I've heard him tell someone once in an interview, like, there's a competitive advantage for me in the way that I do things.
Somebody says Nate confirmed it. I can't read
but wouldn't say what he's doing it.
Right. He went on Spit and Chicklets and said, yes, I do pool training. And they're like, well, what is it? And he goes, I'm not going to tell you.
Well, he's scared that other people are going to see his routine and then be as good as him.
Yeah, for real.
Actually? Whoa.
He sees it as Nathan MacKinnon spends a lot of money, hundreds of thousands of dollars on his body every year. And he works with trainers, and he's got someone that for a long time lived in with him, and he now has a separate place here in Denver. And they create very highly customized training programs for Nathan MacKinnon. And Nathan MacKinnon, I don't think I'm putting too many words in his mouth here, honestly believes like what I'm doing is taking my game to another level. Why would I give someone else the secrets to what I'm doing to take my game to different heights? And I understand, I respect that. Yeah. I asked Nathan MacKinnon, he was experimenting with gear last year. I noticed it at practice. He was trying different skates. He was trying different gloves. He was trying different sticks, trying different helmets, different brands, different things like that. And I asked him once, I said, off the record, do you mind if I talk to you about this? And he goes, no, sorry, I'm not talking about it.
Which is why the criticisms of getting guys on the bike after games as part of recovery, people are like, wow, that's so overly controlling of MacKinnon to demand that of his teammates as well. But it's his love language. He's sharing his knowledge with people he cares about. I don't know. Okay, I'm making that.
No. But you're
people
like
he cares about.
You're saying it in a tongue-in-cheek way, but you're spot on.
I do mean it.
Like it's, hey, I'm doing things that make me better. I won't tell people about this. I want you guys to be a part of it because I want all of us to be better.
Because I love you.
Right. Honestly. And I love winning, and you guys help me win. So like he's funny about that stuff. He does some pool training, but he will not share with even Paul Bissonnette and the Spit and Chicklets guys what it is that he's doing.
I guess are his besties.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, them and the Trailer Park Boys.
I'm gonna end the show.
Hey, we ended on a positive note.
We did. That was really fun. Like Nathan MacKinnon's love language. Yeah, and I think that's
this
really
is gonna be
beautiful.
A great clip for social media.
Has Casey Middlestat taken Jonathan Drouin's spot in Nathan MacKinnon's heart?
Tune in next week to find out.
All right, you guys, we're gonna end things for Off Ice today. I'm Megan Angley, joined by Chloe Thiel and Jesse Montano. Thank you so much again. We'll see you tomorrow for some game day coverage. LA Kings are in town.
See ya.